Welcome, adventurers, to a tale of redemption and tranquility in a world of magic and betrayal. Today, we dive into the captivating story of Banished from the hero's party. I decided to live a quiet life in the countryside. Join us as we follow the once heroic Red, whose goal of saving the world transforms into an unexpected journey of opening a pharmacy. Betrayed by his own team, Red seeks solace in a peaceful town at the edge of the wilderness. But can he truly escape his past when a stunning adventurer reappears, turning his quiet life into an unpredictable adventure? Subscribe for the twists, turns, and potions in this unique fantasy saga. It's been 3 years since the demon lord Taraxon invaded Avalon. 4 nations have fallen, and the demon lord holds half the continent. However, the gods of this world did not abandon them because a maiden named Rudy Ragnarsson appeared, bearing the divine blessing of the hero. A man explains the various uses of different herbs and says he is on the bordered land of Zultan, with a vast, unexplored mountain range and the rest being completely marshland. Development for it has reached a snail's pace, and it's difficult for it to be of much value, but he couldn't think of a better place for him. He goes to sell the herbs as a few adventurers ask him if he's been out collecting herbs again, to which he asks if there's a problem with it and says his dream is to open his own apothecary and doesn't want to become an adventurer. He goes outside and explains that everyone in the world has a blessing. These blessings grant powers and skills according to the person's type, like warriors or mages. At night, he remembers how his party member, Ares, had banished him from the party since Gideon's sister, Rudy, wouldn't do so, which is why he'd told him to tell her that he went scouting for the Demon King and never came back. Since then, he changed his name to Red and came here. He remarks that he's worried about Rudy, but she's much stronger than him. Next day, he goes to the forest and says his blessing isn't out of the ordinary, but grants him skills like survival, which makes him not lose his way unless he's in the deepest of areas. Quickly hiding from an owlbear, he decides to let it be since he's not an adventurer anymore. Later, as he returns to town, an adventurer, Albert, smugly invites him to join them in defeating a stray owlbear in the forest, since they don't know the area well, but he declines the offer since he just wants to live peacefully, uninterested in the experience and promotions that may come with it. Later, a friend, Gauntz, hurriedly arrives at his house and says his brother, Tanta, has acquired white eye. The two rush to their house, and Red remarks that all the symptoms match, deciding to go to the forest to get the necessary treatment. On his way, he's forced to defeat the owlbear and successfully manages to acquire the items, after which he tells Gauntz what he wants in exchange for treating Tanta. Later, a hero named Rit expresses interest in Red, who finally opened his apothecary, with Gauntz building it for free, and tells everyone at the opening party that he wants to spend his life in peace from now. As Red's tiredly sitting in the apothecary, he wonders why no one's coming to buy anything, and remarks that the concoctions will probably expire if it goes on like this, although he doesn't expect anyone to come in this rain. A woman enters and takes off her hood to reveal herself as Rit. They sit down for a cup of tea as he explains that she's a B-rank adventurer and the second princess of the Duchy of Lagervia, a major military power. He asks what a princess is doing here, to which she answers that some were favoring her over her younger brother, the crown prince, so she left before the family tore apart and is enjoying some nice freedom at the moment. She asks why he changed his name to Red from Gideon since it sounds similar to Rit. He answers that he couldn't think of anything else and based it off of her name, which leads to an awkward silence before he explains that he was banished from the hero's party for being dead weight. Since the tea's gotten cold, he goes to make her some more, which she says is amazing, to which he answers that he's just a novice chef. So she remarks that it might be because he made it specially for her, making him remember how they first met when she threw a person away in a bar and later worked together when they were gathering intel on the Demon King. When she decided to go defeat a demon Shishandan with her master, it had been revealed that her master had been killed, and it was actually Shishandan in disguise, after which Red had arrived to save her from him and his army in time. As the two had barely managed to hold it off, Rudy had come to their rescue and swiftly defeated it. After this incident, Rit had been severely affected mentally, and Red had helped her get out of it. saying that the war should be won by Lagervaria, not the hero's party. In present day, Rit asks if she can work here with him, saying Rit and Red's apothecary has a nice ring to it. He'd argued that he can't afford to pay someone, and she shouldn't do this when she's a B-rank adventurer, but had eventually agreed to it, after which she'd said she was going to live here as well and will buy her own things. Meanwhile, Ares introduces a girl named Tis to the hero's party as a replacement for Gideon, so Rudy tells her that they'll leave at dawn the next morning. Red wakes up and wonders why he's sleeping on the floor before seeing Rit sleeping on the bed and getting embarrassed after waking up. She says she wasn't able to sleep well, to which he remarks that isn't a surprise since he got it for basically nothing. But she says that's not why she wasn't able to sleep. During breakfast, she tells him that she'll go get some paintings to hang around the store, telling him to not underestimate the amount of difference it can make, and reminds him that they also have to ask the Zultan Council to approve the new painkiller he recently invented before proposing that her salary be 1.5 payroll a day, which he inwardly says is quite reasonable but low for her, wondering if she decided to move in with him so that she wouldn't have to demand a higher salary, and if she planned this all from the start, so he decides to go with that. When they leave, he tells her that Zultan is far removed from the central area, so it doesn't need any heroes, and she says she never found satisfaction in something but feels really happy just living this life with him. They head to Storm's shop to buy a bed, and she cheerily tells him that she moved in with Red hearing, which he starts teasing him before Rit decides on a walnut double bed, but ends up agreeing to a single one after Red blushingly asks her to. As they're leaving, she says Storm really has some high-quality goods, making him think of how one can level up their divine blessing by killing someone possessing a blessing, and that the world is filled with violence before they spot Tanta getting beaten up by a boy. He tells him to not do it, and seeing Red's strength, the boy frustratingly leaves. As Red and Rit patch Tanta and his friend Al up, he finds out that Tanta has the weapon Master Blessing and helps relieve his fear of blessings since they deeply affect a person's personality, but he tells him that it's in the person's hands at the ends, which Rit agrees to and consoles Tanta. They get their painkiller approved because of Rit's famous name, although the man says a drug they recently approved is being used in illicit ways and has spread a natural fear, after which Red and Rit decide to do medicinal cookies, which end up being a huge success for the apothecary, for which he warmly thanks her. Meanwhile, Danon of the hero's party angrily says the party was in a much better state with Gideon and goes to find him after receiving Rudy's permission. When Red wakes up, he watches a sleeping Rit, transfixed before she wakes up. As they begin the day, he remarks that he would never have known it would end like this. If someone had asked him before, he'd have pictured himself adventuring with the hero's party or living life as a rich noble, but never would have the thought of him working in an apothecary with a former princess popped into his head. Later, Rit tells him that she's craving some mead and asks if she can go buy a pint, so he tells her to do so before the store closes. As he's making bread and cheese stew, which goes well with mead, Albert arrives at the apothecary and smugly talks down on it before getting straight to the point and asking Red if he was the one who killed the owlbear, to which he asks how a D-rank adventurer like him could defeat an owlbear, but Albert says the wound looked like something from a dull blade like the bronze one Red carries around before taking his sword out and aiming it at his throat. Rit suddenly arrives and slams him back before training her sword on him and saying his response could lead to his death, but Red quickly dissolves the situation, and the two later peacefully drink mead for dinner and discuss building a bathtub before he suggests that they should take a day off and head to his favorite sauna, which she agrees to. Later, as he's sitting in the sauna with Gauntz and Storm, he wonders how it turned into an endurance contest, and they keep taunting each other before Gauntz gives in and falls down, so they bring him outside to Now and Rit, where the owner, Zeph, tells him that someone built a premium bathhouse with amazing features and he can't compete with that. As they return home, Now and Rit discuss how they should revive Zeph's sauna's popularity before talking with Tanta gives Red an idea, and he decides to use potpourri sacks and put them up in Zeph's sauna for steam therapy. They head to the sauna and decide to try it as Now and Rit enter the same room as Red. making him blush and getting redder and redder as now tells Rit that she made the right choice. The therapy baths fortunately seem to work, and the sauna's popularity rises again. As they're leaving, Rit tells Red that she wanted to drink that mead because she'd heard a newly married couple drinks it after a month, after which the two happily head back home. Thanks for joining us on this enchanting adventure. If you enjoyed the wholesome moments in Banished from the Hero's Party, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more fantasy tales. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Did Red's journey to open a pharmacy surprise you? Stay tuned for the next chapter and explore more captivating worlds. Until then, may your potions be plentiful and your quests full of wonder. Thanks again for being part of our epic journey. See you in the next video, fellow adventurers.